In 1983, Benedict Anderson introduced the notion of imagined communities as an explanation of how national identities are formed. Historically, communities were restricted, as due to limitations of communication, collective experiences and values that culminated into a community could only be shared among people within a particular geographical area, religious group, or under a dynastical ruler such as a monarchy. However, with the advancements of mass media, it allowed for a much wider range of people from different backgrounds and regions to feel a commonality, transcending class, as even though a vast majority of these people will never meet or interact with one another, there exists this sense of national connection and cohesion. It is this feature that makes nations an imagined community. So how exactly is this affinity and sense of community among people that have never met created? Benedict Anderson contends that this has occurred largely because of the pertinent role that the media has played in developing these imagined communities, highlighting that the invention of the printing press and subsequent other developments in media and communication has catalysed the sense of unity within nations, as each country has individual broadcasters and sources of print media that has contributed to collective perceptions of national identity. Anderson theorises that it is the standardisation of events and ways of life that has generated these communities, because the media has allowed for entire nations to interact with and experience similar events at the same time by developing standardised time and language. And this is seen through events as habitual as the nightly news broadcast to nationwide celebrations of events such as Anzac Day or the Melbourne Cup, or even in the daily presence of pronoun use within the media, subtly creating the notion of us versus them. As through shared experiences come shared knowledge and subsequently a connected identity, as there is such an innate and strong sense of unity fostered by the media that people are willing to go to the extremes of going to war to protect their national identities and ideals. In contemporary times, some academics have extended upon the works of Anderson and have noted that the emergence of social media and the ability for the individual public to generate its own content has expanded possibilities for imagined communities, as it is easier to filter media texts relevant to individual interests and lifestyles, and as such there has been somewhat of a transition towards postmodernist identity groups fostering imagined communities that match the level of commitment as seen within nationalism. Overall, Anderson's imagined communities theory has been incredibly influential in political and social sciences, and in many ways is still pertinent today, as national identities are still present guiding factors in people's lives. However, with continued evolution of the media, imagined communities are expanding beyond nations into differing foundational areas such as identities and interests.